All right. So I did chapter 4 and 5 on the weekend. Or was it 3 and 4 on the weekend? That's right. Because this is the chapter 3 summary. And I have some thoughts on that. Now, it was when I was camping and I wasn't marking everything, but I did mark some things down just on a piece of paper about a few of these characters and some thoughts, some foreshadowing and things, some reactions, some stuff that I'm definitely confused by or intrigued by. And here's that. I'll try to do the same thing for chapter 4 as well. We have this starting scene with Trull. Well, I guess it's with this other, it's like the first concubine or whatever, which is like a Lethri, I assume, and she is going to choose to still have that position with the Emperor, with Rulad. And so we have this back and forth with Trull, who came to tell Rulad that really his sword is controlling him, even though he has the position of Emperor, almost in the same way that we will find that the Lethari are really controlling Rulad. The crippled god is controlling him. So he's saying, I want that sword shattered into a million pieces and dropped. And it's very interesting that we also see that it just kind of parallels in the last book the sword that Perrin had, and he offered it, and these guys wanted it broken apart, but he got to keep that shard. So he wanted that. Rulad wasn't willing to do it like an emperor, a paranoid emperor might do. He says, well, he just wants all the people close to him gone or off doing other things. So he feels threatened by Trull, sentences him to this shorning, and I'm pleased that it seems like his brothers, when I was reading Midnight Tides, I thought these brothers don't seem like the type that would do that to Trull. I mean, Rulad, obviously, but at least I was seeing some of those signs. I mean, Fear's off doing something. He's being hunted. He's no better off than Trull. Benedas is off with Tomad. That's the dad's name, right? Looking for warriors. And it's like just like Curled Emerlon has been sundered, or sundered is the word. The Edur are also being spread out all over the place, and even this family is being spread. And while I initially thought that it was maybe Rulad at the core of this, obviously the crippled god is a part of why this is happening, but it seems like the Lethari are a major part of why this is happening. And I just think it's so fascinating how this thing that was in that epigraph from, I think, the first chapter, where it suggests, they both won the war, but who really feels like they actually won it? They both feel like they are in charge. And it's a dynamic from Midnight Tides that I thought, who is going to actually come out on top? And it's this strange mix where they kind of both are. Anyway, I'm not going to go on that. But very, very interesting. We also see Trull pleading or Rulad pleading with Trull in his sleep, which gives some level of either fear or guilt for what he's doing. And that's a very interesting dynamic, which at least leaves it up that we might not be totally finished with Rulad's fate. I mean, obviously we don't know where he's going to go. I don't know if he's going to have this ultimate kind of descent where he's just destroyed in the end and it just takes him completely, or if he's going to struggle to kind of push against this other side of him. If that's the case, if he is able to somehow push against the crippled god's sword in his hand, the influence of the crippled god, and the Lethery influences, then, I mean, push Troll aside, and Rulad will be the new brother that is just so fascinating. I mean, he already kind of is. I just like Troll. I would rather be friends with Troll rather than Rulad. Okay, we have Bruthen, which is this Tist Edur, he's much like Brawl. He's kind of this. He's supposed to sort of supervise, and he is very close by some of the things that are happening with the Patriotists, close to the Emperor, I believe. And he is being denied from having a formal audience with Rulad by the Lethery kind of handlers of Rulad. So it makes you feel like it's really not the Edur or Rulad ultimately in charge. Again, it's the handling of by the Lethery, which is super fascinating. And super fascinating as well as we get into the 4th chapter with some things that I will mention, but about Red Mask, who is a tricky guy to nail down. I felt one way about him, and now I'm thinking, whoa, pump the brakes, old Red Mask. Anyway, we'll get there. So Bruthen, this Edur, was there, I think, and saw what Bryce did to Rulad, and it almost had things kind of worked out in a way, leaving him incapacitated. And he's kind of wishing that Bryce would come back, which, you know, that as much as I love vanilla Troll, I love milquetoast Bryce. I mean, they're so just kind of plain in some ways, but I like them. And if Bryce comes back, I will be so excited. So excited if he comes back. And it seems like that's a little bit of foreshadowing. The Errant is very interesting, because now that the Sita is gone, the greatest, this Kuru Khan, the greatest Sita that has been around since the first empire, now this guy who kind of seems like he's the master of the deck, or whatever, is that his name? Is that different than what Perrin is? I can't remember exactly what both of their titles are. I guess I should go see that. But he is now into this Sedence, I think it was called, where there were those tiles, and remember that floating platform that the Sita and Bryce would look at. But now they are kind of blank, which is super cool. If you were around for my time with Midnight Tides, you might remember that I was so invested in this idea that the Sita is the one who really sees what's going on. He had invented those glasses, and he was, I think it was the start of subbook 2 or 3 in Midnight Tides, where he is seeing this water creature kind of dumping down, you know, the one that got trapped by Mail, which I thought was Mail at the time. Still don't really know what that was. But deposited those boats right in the harbor, right in town. And everyone was thinking, what the heck is going on? And again, the Sita, like all of his scenes, have this seeing kind of language around him. And he saw what other people didn't see. And that's something that I still think is going on, even though he's not around anymore. And so this guy who seemed to be always kind of able to manipulate things and see what was behind things, now is just seeing blank tiles, being kind of outwitted by the Sita, potentially. And that would be super awesome. This series is so dang good, you guys. Okay, let's go to the next stuff. Yeah, and it's almost like this Errant is kind of an observer now. T-Hole, or Tehol, or T-Hor, whatever you call him, he's up to some stuff. I'll just leave it there. Like, I have no idea what he's up to. But he wants a box made. He wants these onyx kind of tiles made. He is so fascinating. I mean, I keep mentioning I like Bryce and I like these other people. And I like Bug, like I love Bug the most. But Tejo might be one of the most just fascinating plot wise in the series so far. He just has so much interesting stuff going on. As a reader, it's just he just pops off the page. I'll just say that. Okay, we have Rautos, the guy who is at the head of this uh, whatever they call it, the head of the assembly of families that got together to kind of protect their wealth. He is super interesting. He wants these objects brought up that he found, or that they found and kind of assembled in the way that they found them, just so he can see maybe how they fit together or how they might fit together. That is something that is at the top of my list for wanting to know what the heck that is. Shirk has found a Tist Edur ship, and on the ship, Iron Bars isn't there. They left him and some of the Crimson Guard at this beach with these armored individuals. So I have no idea. I love that guy, and now he might not even be in the book anymore. But I hope we keep going on with him. Dying to get back to him. But this Edur ship, we see these arrows that have kind of leather fletching. Is that the word for the arrow? Kind of the, so it's not normal. I feel like if you've read Knight of Knives, maybe it's the people who are kind of mentioned early on, like those sea types. But I'm not sure. I haven't put together who these guys are. But there's this Tist Edur elder who's been nailed down there. And it seems like they've just been looking for information more than being pirates for loot and stuff like that. Also, there's this blood that has been mixed with this compound, or maybe just has the compound beside it, but it's used for these Tist Edur rituals and almost like sanctifying a ground or sanctifying a building to be kind of like a temple. And again, I feel like that connects in some way with Trull. Remember how, all this terrible stuff would happen in a building, like a murder scene, and then suddenly it's a temple for Krull, which is just crazy. All these connections. I cannot wait for a reread of this, by the way. And I won't, I'll actually know what the heck is going on. They see this image of Coltane being eaten by crows, I think. It must be him. He's the only one I think that I've heard of being eaten by crows here. We've had the crippled god eaten by maggots and stuff, but that's on the boat, which is very, very interesting. Are they looking for Coltane, who now is like a kid, reborn sort of thing? Yeah, it's super interesting. Anyway, that is chapter 3. And this book is just, it's exactly hitting what I need it to hit so far. There's plenty of plot. There are characters that I already love. There are characters that I don't know or didn't know from before that have really interesting things around them. It has this intrigue of these two competing societies and this war with the All in the East, and kind of this unifying sort of thing that happens in chapter 4, which is so interesting. There's just so much going on, and it just is looking like it could end so poorly, right? We could end with a lot of innocent people going down along with people we like and we dislike. We could have a big ol' crossing out people's names in the dramatis personae. I'm not going to do that, but maybe I should. Maybe I should just do a little check mark and do that. I bet this is going to be a big one, especially considering it's called Reaper's Gale. And again, I'm thinking, I might not be onto something, but I'm thinking that a Reaper just casts his scythe across and we'll sort it out later. But we'll just cast everything down, almost like a fire that doesn't kind of choose who it's going to take out, kind of like a plague, like the plague in the last book. It's just amazing, just amazing. And I will talk to you guys on the next one. I can't wait to get to chapter 4. I may have to slow down for doing chapter 5 and 6 because I need to read Hyperion before the 9th. And I don't have a lot of time in the next 2 weeks potentially to do that, and I need to do that before I see a friend that I'll be hanging out with in a couple weeks. So I'll see you guys soon. Still loving the series.